Welcome to my video, Getting Started with Zoom. Right now you're looking at my desktop. This is my home computer, and it kind of looks like a mess with all those icons on there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click, and I'm going to go up to the top where it says View, and I'm going to turn off those desktop icons. So hopefully that looks a little bit better to you now. Another thing that you can do to make the background okay, especially if you're going to be sharing your desktop with students, whether you're making a video or with Zoom, you can change this to a solid background. If I right click again and hit personalize, I'm going to change it to a solid color. And I just use black when I'm doing this. This way, all of the windows that you're going to use are going to pop up and really stand out. I'm going to open up Zoom. So after you get your Zoom account, you can, it's going to download a little file so that you're going to be able to start Zoom all the time. I already created a meeting, but I'm going to create another one. So if you hit the schedule button, you're going to get this window and the topic is Zoom meeting invitation. Right now you can change this to office hours, whatever you want it to be. Maybe you want it to, it's reminding me that I have a meeting in 5 minutes. Maybe you want it to be the name of a class, Math 1540, Math 1560, whatever it is. I have it set so that it's going to use my personal meeting ID. I will show you where you can change your personal meeting ID. Mine is my office phone number, which is a little bit helpful because you can get to the meetings from the website from the college. I have the video on for both the hosts and participants. I've got my audio, telephone, and computer audio. Typically, I use my Google Calendar, but it'll pop up if I have that box checked. You may want to use your Outlook calendar if you use that for work. Underneath advanced options, I have enable join before host checked so that students don't have to wait around for me. And I also have mute participants on entry. This is really helpful to get rid of all the shuffling of papers, people trying to type on their keyboard in the chat window. You're going to hear all the clicks, dogs barking in the background, etc. I'm going to go ahead and hit schedule. Oh, apparently I'm doing that one in 4 minutes as well. You are going to get an invitation. If you do it in your calendar program, this information shows up like in the information for the meeting. If you use what I did when it was just like an other calendar, it just you can copy it to the clipboard, pop it into an email, and send it to your students. I'm going to go ahead and close this out. When you are starting your Zoom meeting, you're going to come over here and you see this, my little office hours one is going to show. I'm going to go ahead and hit start. This screen pops up that you probably have seen before where it's going to ask you to join with computer audio. You can test your system, and students can test their system when they are joining as well. I'm just going to go ahead and close that out. Right now you see that I have a picture there. It's because I'm not using my video camera tonight, and there's a slash through it. So if I did have one attached, I could unclick that and it would show my video. The same thing with the audio. I have not joined the audio in the meeting because you get some feedback because I'm recording. So I'm going to leave that the way that it is, but it does show a little microphone with a line through it or not a line through it. When the line is through it, you're muted, and when the line is not through it, everyone can hear you. One of the things that you're probably going to want to be able to do is to share your screen with your students. So if you hit the share button, it looks a little confusing the first time because you get every application that's open on your computer is going to show in the share possibilities. So like I'm using Camtasia, that's showing. I have the Teams site that is showing. I have a folder open. I've got Chrome open. I've got Voicemeeter open because I use that to record. And at the top, it just says screen. So that's probably the safest way to go so that you don't have to keep switching. is just to hit that screen button, and you're going to go ahead and hit share. Now, nothing phenomenal is going to look like it's happening here because no one is joined. And of course it would look, kind of the same. I'm just sharing my screen. So for example, if you want to share, say, a calculator, I'm going to just kind of get this out of the way so you can see what I'm doing. This Wabbit EMU calculator is what I use to demonstrate my calculator to students. It shows kind of weird, but if you hit the button to make it a full screen, you can see the calculator. You can see I can move this around my screen. It keeps wanting to go to the left apparently, but it's going to work just like the TI 84 emulator that from the company. It's very, very similar. It just doesn't remember things the way that it would if you were using the TI product. So for example, I can do 7 times 82, and it will figure it out for me, and everything looks normal. The graphing is going to show up as well, just the same as everything else. But like I said, it doesn't store things, so it's not going to keep it in there. When you close the program, you lose what was in there. So you'll be able to show things like that to your students. There are some options in Zoom. Let me go ahead and hit stop share that you might want to utilize. One of them is the polls that you can put multiple choice questions right inside your Zoom meeting. It might help break up some of the sessions if you kind of stop and assess the students and see what's happening. It won't want to stay on for me. Right here is the chat window. This is going to open up as if you have it in full screen, it pops up over it, but you can utilize that chat window. The breakout rooms is a feature that I'm definitely going to want to try out. And there's no one in my meeting right now. So when I click the breakout room, it's not going to be able to assign people to it. You can, like, if you have 20 people in the room or in the meeting, and you want to go to 4 breakout rooms, you can do that. And what happens is that students, as they get in there, they do have to accept it. As they get into those rooms, then they can't hear everybody else. So it can create a group situation for your online experience. I'm going to go ahead and let me end this meeting so I can look at my settings. I want to look at the advanced settings because in order to do things like the poll and the breakout rooms, you have to tweak the settings in the online account, not in the app. So you're going to want to go to the gear icon that's going to be underneath your picture, not mine. And you get a whole bunch of options, but you're like, wait, Gunkelman, you just said you got to go online. You're going to go to view advanced features, and that is going to pull up, you can see I've done this before already. That is going to pull up the my settings online for you. I'm just going to close the other window. And here you have a little bit more control about what you are going to have for those settings. And there is a long list. I'm not going to lie. And I'm going to scroll down. I'm going to try to go slow so you don't get dizzy. There's the join before host. You can have that lit. This use personal meeting ID, that PMI, that's what I did to get my personal phone number in there. And then I also have a URL that's got JGunk at the end so that I can use that to share the meetings as well. I'm just going to scroll slowly here. The breakout room option is further down. You can make it so that it's always muting your students upon entry, which I think is awesome. The reminder, you saw that go off in the bottom corner of my screen just because I had already made a meeting. Tonight, I am looking, I think it's further. This file transfer feature, I don't know if that is always on or not, but you might want to put that on so that students can share things with each other and you can share things with them. Oh, I didn't know I could turn this off, this feedback off. I think I'm going to do that. That's awesome. Let's see. You can have a co-host. Polling I have selected. So that's kind of awesome. I think it's further down. We're going to keep going. Keep going. I have the annotation turned off. When we were first learning Zoom, I acted a little sassy in the training and I wrote all over the screen. But then we found out that if the students can, the people who are participating in the meeting and not hosting can be disallowed for that. So I've turned that off because I was that person. The whiteboard, I left it on. I rarely ever use it, but maybe I will now in light of new times here. Let's see. Oh, right here. It's the in-meeting advanced. You want that breakout room to be checked if you want to do those small groups. And from what I understand, I haven't done it yet, but what I understand is that you can like enter the room so that you can hear what's going on. You can interact with each of the small groups, kind of like check in on them, and then you can move to the next one. When you want to end and pull everybody back together, I saw on a video today that there is a 1-minute countdown. So it gives people time to wrap up whatever they were talking about and move on. One of the suggestions that I heard today was when you're using those breakout rooms to have people respond in alphabetical order. So for example, if you give them a question, you might want Alex to respond before David or, Ryan, whatever. So that was a strategy that I thought was kind of interesting. Other than that, I don't think you really need to mess with those settings a little bit. You can do all the same things that you did in the little app that I opened up on the computer first, like you can schedule a meeting, join a meeting, etc. If you don't have a Zoom account, here, let me sign out of this. So maybe it'll work better here for me. On the instructional continuity page that the ATG put out, at the way bottom is the Zoom option for you. And it looks like you can just click on this link and it asks you for your work email address. It probably will verify based on your identity that way. And then you can go ahead and sign up and you can get rolling. Let me know if you have any questions.